Dixon butts and Dixon butts and Dixon butts. I saw that recording right at the end there.
Had to capture the magic.
Yikes.
Hello. Welcome to today's episode of Juice the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joshua Tracy.
And I am two of your hosts, Corwin Heller.
Oh, man. Welcome to today's episode. We have Emily Nyman back on the show. You can check her out. You can check out her podcast, Breaking Balls, which can be found where all podcasts are assortedly found. You can find her on Twitter at MSheDoesIt. Definitely give her a follow, especially if you're a Yankees fan, a baseball fan, or a fan of good comedy. Definitely one of
Which, if you're watching this show, you're not.
Yeah. If you're watching us, oh God, maybe reevaluate some of your life choices. But we get into some fun rule change shit that's going on. We talk about fashion. We cover the whole spectrum. So without further ado, here it is. All right, we are joined once again, the regular season debut of Emily Nyman on the podcast, host of Breaking Balls Pod, available where all podcasts are found. Em, it is great to have you again.
It is great to be back, even though I kind of invited myself.
Mutual. It was all mutual. And we have like almost the exact opposite of the problem that we had last time, which was we talked so long about like one thing, and this time we have like 90 things to chit chat about because it's the regular season and there's actually shit going on. So we had a bunch of topics that we passed back and forth today. We'll get to what we get to, and otherwise we'll just save the rest of that shit for later. But this all started out of a joke because I forget if it was me or Corwin made about getting rid of Rob Manfred in a package deal with Mike Trout for Adam Silver of the NBA, the commissioner of the NBA. Now, first of all, how would that work?
It would just be 1-for-1 trade, or
we'll
add in a throw play. Yeah, you're right. Listen, it's been a long day. Math is hard. I'm already not great at it, but yeah, 2-for-1 trade. Manfred's the commissioner of the NBA now. Adam Silver's commissioner of the MLB. I got those letters right. And Mike Trout can just do whatever the fuck he wants to do because he's Mike Trout.
So Mike Trout in this scenario is in the NBA?
It can be whatever you want per the argument.
Commissioner.
Listen, I'm not God. I don't come up with all the rules. You guys can decide on your own.
Because it's like there's one of two ways that Mike Trout stays in the NBA, and option one is he is like co-commissioner, which would be fascinating, or two, he is a player on whatever team I guess he feels like, and I don't know which of those would be more fun to see happen.
I feel like Corwin's idea of the commissioner/player role that he had mentioned on Twitter. A little bit of both.
Yes, I did mention that, and I remember that vividly.
Do you think he'd be confused by having to play so much? Because baseball, you're up once every 2 or 3 innings, depending on how good your team is at hitting, maybe 4. And in basketball, you're on the court for like 38, 40 minutes of the game. You might not be used to being able to actually impact a game so much.
Are you questioning the athletic ability of Michael Fishman Trout?
I'm questioning how he would feel about actually being able to make a significant impact to a team.
I feel like he's like a Bo Jackson of sorts, that like he would just go there and still be like a star. I don't know why, but he would probably be confused at first.
I've never seen him shoot a basketball. I know he's better than me, and that means he could play in the NBA.
Ooh, the real question is, do you think Mike Trout can dunk?
How tall is he? 6 foot?
Probably.
I don't know, but he jumps pretty high. He's a center fielder. He robs home runs, right?
I think would probably could.
Yeah.
I can't dunk, and I'm 6'8", so
yeah, you're really 95% of the way there.
I can reach my hands up and grab onto the net, but I cannot dunk a basketball. I've done it once in my life, and I'm thankful I could even get that.
can you at least like jump and grab the rim, or is it just like you had vertical that's the height of a piece of fucking loose leaf paper?
Both. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could like grab onto the rim and like pull myself up from the rim, but a full-size basketball over the rim is just too much to ask.
Apparently, my Trout is 6'2".
Damn. So 6 inches shorter and just not like I'm the equivalent below. All right, let me rephrase. Our vertical, his plus is the same as my minus. If we were to do averages,
Well, you guys have something kind of in common. That's cool.
we're
Yeah,
both
there
from
you
New
go.
Jersey.
Yeah, the Millville Meteor. All right. So now, what would we gain from an Adam Silver MLB commissioner?
He would definitely be way more pro player than Manfred. Manfred is very owner centric, which I mean, those are his bosses. I get it. And in NBA, I think they have, I'm not that familiar, but they have a structure where like the players kind of have ownership stake too, I think, or something like that.
They have a better union, basically.
And he's like their guy. He's like all about the players. So I feel like that would, I don't know how well that would translate to MLB, but that would be the plus side.
I think it would be the players like having a center screen kind of role, like a center stage role. I'm all over the place with these idioms, but I also think the drama that we see in the NBA, whether it be trades, headlines, just, interplayer drama, I think some of that would carry over once they know that, hey, the league's going to support me if I go out there and do something a little, off tilt, a little, colorful. They're still going to stand behind me. They're still going to support me. I trust Adam Silver. We could see the same from, big time MLB players just going off the wall and just adding some drama and bringing fans in. I think the fan interaction and bringing fans in with whatever avenue they take, Adam Silver would just bring that NBA style to MLB.
Do you think the MLB would also get a Looney Tunes cartoon movie? Space Slam?
Space Slam. That's way better.
They would, but because of the timing of this, they wouldn't reshoot the movie in any way. They would just use all the regular clips of like LeBron James doing his person stuff. Just put a random baseball player over top. Just
you might Trout, I guess, in this instance.
And then all good. And then all of the animation is just redone for baseball. So we still like playing basketball, but we're just, instead of this, it's going to be like, that's how he swings a bat. Just
Baltimore chop, just straight down.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'd make it work.
Shittiest quality cartoon of all time.
Because, like, what would you think that if, like, Adam Silver comes over and he's like, all right, now players can hold out, like, effectively and get demanded to be traded in a more real way than they haven't. Because in the NBA, you can just be like, fucking trade me. Like, I am done with your shitty organization. I'm going to leave and you'll get what you can get for me. And I'm going where I want to go. And, you hear players like want to be traded in the MLB, but they don't like James Harden traded himself to Brooklyn. The Rockets weren't like, oh, shucks, we really got to do right by Harden here. Harden was like, send me to fucking Brooklyn and get what you get. What if that came to baseball? Like, how would you feel about, I don't know, what's a shitty team with a great player?
John Meads of the Orioles.
There you go. John Meads is like, this, I'm fucking done. Or even Mike Trout in this instance. Mike Trout's like, I'm fucking done. Like, Angels, I appreciate all the money. The dollars have been great. Your stadium is wacky. I don't want to be here anymore. You haven't put a baseball. I'm done. Send me to Minnesota or some shit. Would we be down with that?
Hell yeah. I wish it happened more.
Why not? Like, what's stopping MLB from just allowing players to move around?
They don't have the leverage like that they have in a sport like basketball, where it's like, oh yeah, you want to move, you're unhappy here. Well, your impact on this team isn't really that good in a small sample size, where James Harden makes a huge impact immediately. So it's like they just don't have the leverage.
Would you take?
That was a very complete answer. I feel.
Would you take a swap?
Fuck.
Like, so now let's assume that the players can opt out would you take that if it also meant max contracts like we have in the NBA? So now there's a cap on individual player contract amounts.
I have to be honest, I'm not that familiar with the NBA or their contracts, so fill me in quick if you can, so I can form an opinion quick.
Basically, there's a cap on how large a contract can be. So any given player, whether it be Mike Trout, Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, they can sign a max deal, but it's only going to be X amount based off of, I want to say, league revenue, or like an incremental increase year after year. But they also have these super maxes where if you're re-signing with a team that you've already played with, and there's some other factors, like only one is allowed per team, a super max deal, you could get like an even greater number on top of that. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Like you, I'm not super well versed in NBA contracts compared to like the NFL, but it's a cap for contracts versus, a team cap where anyone can sign for anything.
Obviously MLB doesn't. I mean, I would hate a cap. I would absolutely hate it, but they kind of do have that right now, because like players can opt out of their contracts. The ones that have leverage anyway, like the good players, they'll opt out and then they'll renegotiate an extension or more money or something. So isn't that kind of the same thing? But I guess there's just no cap.
Yeah, that's the real difference. It'd be like saying the cap is $35 million a year. So Garrett Cole wouldn't be able to get his contract. He'd have to take a max contract. And I don't know if the max contracts in the NBA come with term limits as well. I don't think, do they? Is it 4 years? I have no idea. I just made that up right now. But it's you would sign a max contract. You wouldn't sign like a $36 million a year contract. But the players get more leverage in that they can say, fuck the Orioles, I'm going to go play for the Mets. I'm out. Would we take that
choice?
Huh?
Who would make that choice? You're leaving the Orioles? Sure. Going to the Mets?
Jonathan VR, I guess, kind of.
Oh, yeah. That's super max player, Jonathan VR.
I mean, he's like weirdly like one of the best Mets right now, but yeah.
Did have that awesome base running play the other day.
He is wonderful. I still can't believe the Orioles just randomly cut him to get nothing. It doesn't matter. They're such a weird organization. Because, like, I think the storylines of fuck your shitty team would be great. I mean, like, again, like one of the main reasons Harden leaving the Rockets was such a big deal was in part because, like, yeah, Harden, great player, all that. Brooklyn, super team that got better. But also it was like, now the Rockets are going to feel pain. And they didn't have to feel much pain, because if you have that one really good player, like, you're not going to be in pain. But if all of a sudden, like dominoes start to fall and players start to leave like an MLB organization, it might get dicey kind of quick. Imagine like Josh Donaldson was like, all right, I'm out of the Twins. And then Nelson Cruz was like, he's gone. All right, I'm dragging my 45-year-old ass out of here too. And then Andrelton Simmons was like, COVID's not real and I'm leaving. And, everyone just started like piecing out. No, it could make for a really interesting set of hit pieces, which are bad journalism, but great for riling up fan bases.
Yeah, it would send the writers into a frenzy, that's for sure, because they try to create that frenzy around MLB contract negotiations. And I feel like it's not really there, but they do it anyway, and fans still get whipped up and get nuts over it. So that would just be pandemonium.
And that's what we need, right? Like, that's part of what makes NBA so fun for people. Like, it's chaos in the best way.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like, we all know pretty much exactly what's going on in the NBA. We know all the major headlines. I don't think I've watched a full or even a majority of an NBA game in like 3 years. I don't watch the game, but it's so fun to follow. It's so easy to follow. It's hard not to. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we were getting into, contracts and player, leverage. I think the big thing is just how well Adam Silver has marketed the NBA, how well he's been able to draw fans in by just making smart decisions and just being like, hey, that makes sense. That is, morally right. That's ethically right. That's a common sense decision, like MLB's been talking about, or people talking about MLB have been talking about, and it's just worked. People enjoy the common sense. They enjoy smart decisions, running a business, running a league. And boy, we don't have that right now.
If I can, and I'm not defending Rob Manfred here, I'm going to defend Major League Baseball in that, in its defense, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, you have to have a high intelligence to understand baseball. You don't. That's not what I mean. But it's easier to understand moves, I think, made by a commissioner in, the NBA, or even by a team as far as players that they trade or they sign, because it's your classic timed game. You have to get the ball on the net at either end of the court. So the role the players play, where in baseball, it can be a lot more convoluted, that it's such a game of failure and it needs such a large sample size to really even things out and find out what's going on, that these minutia moves made by the league and by teams, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, because it's tough to really wrap your brain around, especially when you're talking about minor leagues and then all these different tiers. It's like there's so many players and there's so many moves that it's hard to follow, and it's not exciting because these guys are also boring. Let's be honest. Most of them are boring. They don't have any sort of personality. They don't talk to the press. They don't say anything besides canned shit when they do. So
I greatly look forward to every trip that the Angels take, so that Mike Trout tweets out in all caps the city that they're going to, and then like 3 or 4 plane emojis. And it's like, oh, gee, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I too have looked at the Angels schedule today.
Like,
well, I like it because that he's doing it really nervously. He's a scared flyer, so he's not over there like excited. He's like, "Oh my god, I have to get in this fucking plane. I'm terrified."
He's just letting us all know his whereabouts in case something goes wrong.
But like, even with off the field stuff, we saw what happened with, oh my god, I just had his name that I said over and over again. Third baseman for the Dodgers, ginger hair. Justin Turner. Thank Chris. They win the World Series. He tests positive for COVID, is pulled from the field that day. He's out there celebrating with his team. He's out there celebrating the victory. He has teammates. Family members who are on the field there who are, immune system compromised, and he's still choosing to go out there and do his own thing. And there were no repercussions from the MLB. We have a guy go out and leave the bubble in the NBA playoffs last year to go pick up some DoorDash, and he has to, I think he had to leave the bubble. There were serious repercussions for, this is just a coronavirus example, but you do something to break the rules that affects other players around you, affects the league, affects anything. Hey, there's going to be consequences. MLB
Speaking of which,
kind of like,
I think the snitch hotline should be universal for every sport and should be year round, because I just want players to be super petty and tattle on other players for nonsense.
Only if they make the calls public. They can make the voices with the modulator so we don't know who it is, but I just need to hear them.
That'd be so good.
Somebody tell Max Scherzer that he has to wash his fucking game day socks after the game. It's fucking disgusting. God.
All right. So, point being, would you, and let's substitute Mike Trout for whoever like your favorite or the face of baseball is in your mind, whether it's Corwin, probably Fernando Tatis Jr., Machado at this point for you, maybe?
Well, he's my favorite, but I wouldn't say he's the face. Because Corwin's going to say Tatis.
Manny Machado's your favorite player?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I watch the Padres every night after the Yankees are over because I just love him.
I'll
be honest,
great.
I don't think Fernando's the face. I think it's still Trout. I want it to be Tatis. I think it will be Tatis. But I think it's still Trout.
I think Trout's the face of baseball in the same way that January is the face of a calendar. Just because he's first doesn't make it the best.
What an analogy. That was good.
Like, you're saying Mike Trout's not the best?
I'm saying he's always on the top of the leaderboard, so he's clearly he's the guy you're gonna find if you're looking up who's leading in slugging, who's leading in WAR, who's leading in outs above average and shit. You're always gonna see Mike Trout. And so in that way, his name is always there. So in some respect, his face is always gonna pop up. But I'd say guys with more personality that have only been up for the last 2 to 4 seasons have garnered a lot more public attention and have generated more discourse outside of a statistical sense, even just on Twitter, that I think calling him the face of baseball at this point might be tough when you have guys like Tatis and Ronald Acuna Jr. and Juan Soto, who all take up a little bit more mind share outside of, hey, who's leading in WAR right now? Mike Trout? All right, then the stats count, which is great. But it's like, I saw a lot of people talking about buying Jazz Chisholm jerseys this year because he's been so much fun, which he has absolutely been so much fun. And
He has blue hair.
Mike Trout's like literally the best hitter in baseball. But is that enough to make you the face of baseball? And I'm not sure I would argue that he is.
I think in defense of Mike Trout and to attack Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis, you think about, hey, like who's going to be the best player in baseball in 5 years? Who's the up and coming guys? Who are the rising stars? It's Juan Soto, it's Ronald Acuna, it's Fernando Tatis. But Tatis only just passed 162 games in his career. He's only surpassed one total season. I don't think you could call him the face of baseball, even if he is well marketed and well known, because we still don't really know what kind of player he's going to be. Like, if he continues on the trajectory that he is on now, he's going to hit 60 home runs and he's going to commit 185 errors. Like, that's just how it's going to go.
Which I honestly would take.
I think, and
maybe
Trout, what holds Trout back is blackouts. That how can you be the face of baseball when the only people that can watch him play are in Southern California or, in that surrounding area, that the other teams, they benefit from being on a better team. So ESPN is way more inclined to play a Padres game. They're way more inclined to play a Braves game and a Nationals game, where the Angels, they're like, we're not, Ohtani's going to pitch and hit. Okay, we'll show the Angels. But blackouts handcuff Major League Baseball with making Trout the face, because they can put him on as many ads as they want. But then what's the point of that if then the people, the kids in that area, they see his face on a bus or on a commercial, but then they can't watch him play? Unless
or if you live in
$25 a
the
month.
tri-state area, you get to see his face on a box of frozen pretzels at the grocery store.
Yes, we do.
And I'm not sure that exists outside the tri-state area, but I know that everybody in the tri-state area knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's those black pretzels,
Yeah.
the black box with the red hat that you think is an Angels hat, but it's not branded. So
You know what
It's an
league
at
doesn't?
symbol.
You know what league doesn't have blackouts and where this isn't an issue? The fucking NBA.
Adam Silver, come save us. All right.
But I
Valley
will say
Sports is
before we
killing
move
this
on,
league.
I think Shohei Ohtani has a better chance of becoming the face of baseball than Soto, Acuna, or Tatis. I
Yeah, I
think if
think
he
so.
dominates both sides of baseball, that's going to be that's not just going to be held to baseball. He's going to be a world-renowned player in his own right.
There's a lot of facets to this, and I think if we keep going, we'll be back and forth on it for the entire time. And it's already been a lot
How
longer
many
than I thought it would
faucets are
be. At least 2, hot and cold, man. All right. So let's take it to the next point, which is, so last time we had Em on, we talked about, we had like a rule change draft, or, a fun rules draft. And MLB is partnering with the Pioneer League, which is an independent league, which MLB partners with a lot of indie leagues to try out goofy rule changes and wacky shit that they don't quite want to get the affiliated ball teams used to, since they're a little bit maybe too experimental, and you don't want to introduce too many concepts that might not end up flying all the way up to MLB. But regardless, so they partnered with the Pioneer League to introduce the concept of the home run derby as a replacement for extra innings. And since we talked about goofy rules a few months ago when we had Em on last, we figured this would be a great opportunity to talk about this goofy rule, which is replacing, I guess in its entirety, extra innings with the home run derby. So, Em, what is your initial reaction to that as a concept?
In a vacuum, or in the world as we know it that has the runner on second extra innings rule?
No, let's assume the runner on second thing like never happened. It's like it's regular
Unlikely.
extra innings, just
Okay.
normal baseball, And then they were like, fuck it, never mind. 10th inning is the home run derby.
You know, I would be very tempted to say I love that because I love home runs and I love the home run derby. It's like the best part of the All-Star game, but I would like it until my team lost in that derby in the 10th inning, and then I would absolutely hate it. So I'm just going to get ahead of myself and say, no, I wouldn't want it. Give me the extra innings. Even though there's a lot of luck involved in baseball in general, I still don't like the idea of a game being played for almost 3 hours and then it being decided by a home run derby. If the second runner on second rule is in, then yes, give me the home run derby instead of that bullshit.
Well, because I think I agree, because I think the idea here is if we're already going to make extra innings not baseball, let's have them be really not baseball. Like, why even fucking pretend? You know, if we're already going to put the runner on second, or you're already going to say we're going to tweak it so it ends faster, then just have fucking fun. The NHL did this. You know, if you go to overtime in the NHL, you go to 3-on-3, which already isn't quite hockey, but it's also only 5 minutes, and then it's honestly a lot of fun. And then after that, if it's still tied, then you do shootout. And I actually think something similar might be workable for the MLB, since I believe, trusting Josh's memory here, from when they first announced the runner on second rule, that they said something like over 60%, 70% of games that went to extra innings ended before like the 12th. So if you said to me, even in like 2018 baseball, pre runner on second shit, if you said 10th inning and 11th inning, normal extra innings, if the game gets to the 12th inning, in interest of time, home run derby. I think I'm cool with that.
Yeah, me too. I kind of want that like tonight.
That'd be great tonight.
That would be.
I got worried you were going to steal my point, Josh, when you started talking about hockey. In the Olympic hockey, right? What is the single greatest moment since the Miracle on Ice? I won't
US
make you
beating
think.
Canada?
Yes. TJ Oshie going up 8 times in the shootout and just single-handedly putting the entire country on his back, dominating and winning us the gold medal. Why would there be anything better you could do for baseball and for fan enjoyment than setting Vlad Guerrero up there and just telling him, hit the fucking shit out of the ball 10 times in a row and just go to town? You're like, you pick your best player to go up and hit the ball. You're sending Vlad up there. You're sending Mike Stanton up there. You're sending the best players you got to put the team on your back, win you the game. And it's not like teams are, need a shootout specialist on their team. You already have these power hitters on every single team. Let them just mash, do what everyone agrees is the most exciting part of baseball is when somebody hits a monster home run. Have them do it 10 times. Oh, they tie, or, oh, neither of them hit a home run. Okay, it's like, all right, now we're going back. Just player, just mashing home runs. Yeah, everyone agrees the home run derby is better than the All-Star game. Everyone agrees the home run derby is essentially the best, quote unquote, all-star event in, the major 5 sports. Again, like you guys said, if we're going to have stupid rules for extra innings like we already do, yeah, let's get this in here and go crazy. If we're going to have normal baseball, okay, we'll have normal baseball. We're all happy with that. We're all going to live.
Yeah, the way that MLB is working with the Pioneer League, it's going to be you pick your hitter. They see 5 balls, 5 opportunities to hit a home run. If it's still tied, both sides hit 3 home runs or whatever, then you pick a different hitter or they go out and do sudden death. If you had your ability to make the home run derby in extra innings, whatever you wanted it to be, would you go with the MLB's layout here, or would you change anything?
I think that it would have to be changed because, I love the layout as it is, but that's good for a one-off event. That if you had it where it's like hit as many as you can in these timed period, you'd have guys injured from doing that. If they have, a few extra inning games in 1 week, Stanton's going to be on the IL for 3 years if he's doing that kind of shit. So you'd have to change the format.
I would also want an opportunity to see like goofy players you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the fun parts about, so in hockey, when you go to shootout, each player just gets one shot. And if you're still tied up, you just keep fucking going. And it gets to a point at the bench where it's like, we're sending up that guy? Him? So
like when you see a defenseman go up there and it's just like, fuck, are we at this point in the roster?
Right. Like, oh my God, that's the best we got right now. No one else can shoot. And I'd kind of love it to be like, and it might be too long, but I'd love to see the whole lineup have to do it. Like everybody in your starting lineup gets like, one swing, and then whoever's lineup gets the most home runs. Cause I really want to see like Brett Gardner have to like figure it out. Like, I really want to see Higgy just like smoke a bomb. Like I kind of want to see like those goofy dudes. Cause you're right. If it was every night, Giancarlo Stanton would be the guy you pick every time, either him or Judge. And then, I'm not saying you get tired of it, but like it'd be those two guys. Yeah. I want to see someone weirder. Make Tyler Wade do this and prove to me he can hit a ball that's grooved down the middle at a reasonable speed.
Joshua David Tracy, we just had this argument about the universal DH, about what's the point of sending pitchers up there to hit if they're not good at hitting? Why would you want to send Brett Gardner up there, watch him try and hit a home run, flail around and hit balls just past second base instead of watching Mike and Judge up there?
I will not take any Gardner slander.
And also because
he's 45 years old, bald, and about the height of my hip.
Me and John were talking about this in this week's episode of Breaking Balls, actually. And his point was, well, not all teams have like a big home run hitter, which of course is not necessarily true, especially in this day and age. Yeah. But then I made the point to him, like, they're not going to have like Chapman on the mound. They're not going to have someone who's like throwing gas and then throwing breaking stuff that falls off the table. It's going to be someone behind an L screen, like the hitting coach, just throwing 75-mile-per-hour fastballs down the center of the plate. So
really,
I love the whole lineup idea, because with that sort of pitching, anyone can be the hero. And I like that. Any of those guys can go yard on a ball grooved down the center of the plate at 75 miles an hour when they know it's coming.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember, when there's like sport crossover events, like I remember a few years ago, Odell Beckham Jr. went to a batting practice at the Yankees stadium and hit a home run. And it's like, like people are athletic. And that's obviously Odell Beckham Jr. is an athlete, but it's like they're baseball players. Like they all got here because they can do it. Some of them are just better at doing it at a major league level than others. If like 5'2" Mookie Betts can smash home runs like nobody's goddamn business, then I bet Tyler Wade could, if he like got a pitch that anybody could reasonably touch.
Listen, 12-year-old Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was hitting fucking bombs at Camden Yards off batting practice pitching. So if he can do it at 12, Brett Gardner can do it at 52.
No need to insult the Orioles pitching staff like that.
Listen, you're talking the talk here and making me think that I could go out there and hit a 400-foot home run, and I'm going to go to the batting cage at some point now and embarrass the shit out of myself. And with
an aluminum bat and a tennis ball, anything's possible, buddy.
It's true. Just
and
gotta
it
get those
require
lacrosse
a vertical
balls
jump, so I think you're okay.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Any other shots you want to take of me right now? Let's go. I'm ready. Lay them on me.
Literally all of them. All right, I'm gonna skip down the topics a little, because there was two I definitely wanted to get to. The first one is this: we are currently, yes, Corwin, what's up?
I have a topic I want to talk about. Who let the dogs out?
Who? No one's really sure. It's one of the great mysteries.
I teed that up from the start, and I've just been sitting on that can of corn in the back pocket, just ready.
Can of corn in the back pocket? All right. Anyway, so as it stands right now, the Yankees are playing the Astros. If not literally right now, then momentarily.
And there's the top of the first.
Okay, good. There seems to be a level of discourse around it that I wasn't expecting, which is, why are these Yankees fans booing these Astros? And if part of this comes down on a lot of this comes down on Manfred because he didn't punish anybody. But also, I mean, if you're gonna be a dick and you're gonna do something wrong, you gotta wear it. And I know that there's large portions of Yankees fans that have done relatively shitty things, like throwing stuff at what team did we throw stuff at? Sometime earlier. Who was that? It wasn't the Tigers, was it?
I hope not. The hell did they do besides be shitty?
Yeah,
I honestly think it was the Tigers, like one of those.
It was a weird
Midwest-
team.
Yeah, like one of those like near the Great Lakes. I want to say.
Yeah. Regardless, look, whether I don't think there's anything wrong with angrily voicing your opinion at people who are paid to be there, to people who are paid to play the game, people who are paid to kind of deal with your bullshit in a certain type of way. And I also don't think there's anything wrong with not really caring about the Astros scandal anymore, but still indulging in the hatred because it's fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I never really cared all that much from the start. I mean, it'd be pretty hypocritical of me as like a huge A-Rod fan to care about that. But the issue becomes that the team is way more willing to wear it than the fans. Astro fans are unwilling to accept what happened to their team. And I know other teams have done it, but it's like no one did it that blatantly that they got caught by a fucking random fan listening to old games. Like just wear it and accept it. And then no one will care anymore. Once you stop like throwing a tantrum about it. And for anyone to not expect this, I mean, that's just willful ignorance. I think that's crazy.
Well, and it's also wild when the people aren't realizing that like a lot of people are doing this just because it's fun. It's fun to make a bunch of goofy signs involving trash cans and pretend to be really angry about it. And whether you are or aren't doesn't really matter. But like if I happen to have tickets to tonight's game, I don't give a shit about this anymore. I'd make a sign though. It's fun. It's engagement at this point. You know what I mean?
Especially after a year of not being able to go to games.
Yeah. And in a very weird way, it's good for the sport right now. It's bringing a lot of attention and engagement towards, what is a really bad part of what happened 2 to 5 years ago. But at the same time, like people are going to these games, they're getting a ton of national attention. And I don't think that's that much of a bad thing right now. A couple years removed from it.
No, and it makes these games have a little bit more juice. You know what I mean? Like these games feel like they mean more as opposed to being games like 27 and 28 of the season. They feel like they have meaning to them. And I don't know if that would necessarily feel that way if the fans weren't going absolutely bonkers.
Last night felt like a playoff game.
It did.
I mean, Dusty Baker came out and said, what, like, oh, there's only like 5 players on the team left over from that 2017 team. Who are you booing? Like, are you booing the play? Like, are you booing the team? Are you booing the jersey? Are you booing
As Seinfeld said, we're booing laundry.
Yeah,
it's like,
100%.
well, we're booing everything. Like, we don't care that there's only 5 players left. I don't give a shit. We're booing the fact that this team, this organization as a whole, cheated, won themselves a World Series because of the cheating, and their wrists are a little discolored for like a week 4 years ago because of it.
Yeah, I mean, Astros are going to be getting booed fucking 15 years from now.
I hope so.
And none of those guys that are on the team are going to have been like 6 years old or 5 years old when that scandal happened. It's just
Honestly,
the way it is.
Unless that team, like the owner is forced to sell the team and it's a complete gutting of the front office, and anyone who is even close to looking at the general direction of what was going on, people are going to still hate them, and they should. Absolutely.
Honestly,
I think if they did clean house like that, I personally would be able to get over it, but I can't speak for all fans of baseball.
if I was the Yankees, I would lean into this and I would be selling trash can merch and be like, oh, we're donating all the proceeds to like PBS. And it's like a bunch of Oscar, the Grouch fucking branded shit wearing like an Astros jersey, and just rile them up. It can't be worse than free beer day in Cleveland in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, let's just fucking go. Make a point.
And it's keeping the Astros relevant. I mean, obviously they've been good. They made it to the postseason all these years, but there have been a lot of teams that have made it to the postseason with some regularity, and they aren't in the center of everything, of every conversation among fans like the Astros are. So it's like, can they really hate it that much? It won them a World Series. They didn't get in trouble for it really. And they're still relevant no matter what they do. People still care when they come to town. They could be the shittiest team in the league right now, and every single place that they visit would have a packed house to boo them. So
Yeah, I mean, every time I go to a White Sox game, I hold up a 1903. I don't know what year they fucked up the World
1917.
Series. Thank you. I still hold up one of those signs every time I see the White Sox. Those fuckers.
1919.
1919. Okay.
Yeah, get fucked, Josh, you dummy, not knowing what year it took place.
I go to the White Sox games and I ask them why they never wear white socks. Y'all wearing black socks. You guys got to wear white socks. That's the point. It's your name.
Josh, back to your point. I think the Yankees should go head over heels, just like dive headfirst into this. Free beer night, and all the beers come in little gray solo cups that look like trash cans that they can then
That's-
throw onto the field.
That's a good idea. Or the Yankees can do like a citizen's arrest and hold the 5 players that were on the 2017 team because they weren't punished in the cells that are below Yankee Stadium for the drunks.
I think they put them up in the gallows in center field and just have Aroldis Chapman take turns walking down the line, just throwing
They should get a
101
like
mile an
a-
hour fastball just right at their fucking gut.
You should get like a generic brand of whatever the Astros mascot is. Oh, I got dark. And put him out in center field in the stocks.
Just imagine a firing squad of just the entire bullpen of the Yankees just standing like back to back, like just gaps, just in a line in center field while they're all like strung up or whatever.
Just bring in
And
some
just
middle
everyone
schools and
gets a-
Jose
everyone
Altuve
gets a
jerseys.
baseball and you just
Put 'em in
throw,
handcuffs.
and it's just a wave of 100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
All right, so we're
Players would
hitting
be
our
killed, but
time.
I don't think a single fan would be
Picturing
like,
Orbit and stocks is I'm picturing that for the rest of the night.
Jose
But, like,
Altuve having to
bad
stand on a
orbit,
milk crate
like
so
not
it
good
fits.
orbit. All right, we're pretty much out of time, but I had one other thing I wanted to mention because it's too interesting of a topic to me to not bring it up, and that is that Lindsay Adler caught some shit this past week on Twitter because she made fun of a guy at a Diamondbacks game on like a second or third date, who wore gym shorts and the spring training Diamondbacks t-shirt, and I need opinions on whether that is acceptable second date apparel to a baseball game. M.
The shirt, 100%. The shorts, I mean, personally, I probably wouldn't give a shit, especially if we're going to a baseball game. Like and they were pretty close to the dugout. So it's like, if you're buying me like field level seats, you can wear gym shorts, especially if it's 100 degrees outside. But as someone who's in their 30s, I can understand where she's coming from. That I think the divide was you had a bunch of teenagers and like younger early 20s guys where your life is a lot different. So it's like, if you were like in your 30s, mid 30s, then I think any guy would be like, I don't see a problem with it, but I also wouldn't wear gym shorts to a date. So I think it's just like a difference of where you are in life, really.
Lindsay's too
I
old
wouldn't
to
give a
be
shit.
hip. Got it.
I'll be
it.
honest.
Got it.
That's a
I
moral
was-
of my story.
In my head, I was like, gym shorts. Like I wear gym shorts to baseball games. Like every time I go, I wear them out. Like every time in the summer. Like if it's not like going out to eat or whatever. And it's like, oh right, I am 23. Okay, no, I get it. I am a
my
child.
bad.
I
That
think-
was meant to be insulting.
I
Oh,
think for
I'm
me,
the asshole.
I think for me, the difference is the date, the idea of the date, because I know today I've been with my girlfriend for 2 years. If I'm going to a Yankees game and
Brag
it's like
about it.
95 degrees, I'll wear shorts. But like, if it was our second date, I don't think I'd have worn gym shorts because it's like, I want to make a good impression. So like, I'll be a little uncomfortable and dressed better rather than like comfortable and dressed like I was about to go play basketball after this. So like I get her point, and I think she's getting a little bit unfairly dragged, but at the same time, it's a weird time to make that point.
Yeah.
So gym shorts, a little too casual. That's fine. We can all accept that. Are cargo shorts a better option or a worse
Oh.
option?
No.
What cargo are you carrying?
You know, batteries to throw on the field, just things like that.
What is this? It's not
Assorted
Philadelphia.
knickknacks. You don't know.
No,
Snacks.
My closest stadium is Philadelphia. Fuck off.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad we could settle this debate then. So we had more shit, but the Yankees game is on, and I know all three of us are desperate to get to it. So, and we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us again. What have you got to plug, and where can people find you?
Well, you can find us on Twitter at BreakBallsPod, and we release an episode now. We change our release date every Thursday. So we'll have an episode out tomorrow, and it'll be that way probably for the remainder of the season. And thanks for having me. I'll be sure to invite myself back on sometime soon.
Literally whenever you want.
Twitter contractually obligated tweets are, bound by law. Jesus Christ, that was just such an abysmal sentence, start to finish. That's
we're just gonna get it. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. All
right, that was our conversation with Emily Nyman. There was a few things that we didn't get to, but because working under time constraints, and finally there's so much happening, which is great. So we'll probably have to get her back on later. A couple pop topics that happened recently that we didn't get the chance to, that might not be as present or meaningful later on to talk about. Though figured I'd just give some lip service to Amir Garrett's suspension. That just doesn't make any sense. 7 games for what? Taunting? Suck a dick. Like, get out of here. So didn't get the chance to talk about that too much. Maybe we'll have something longer on it later.
Surprised Joe Kelly didn't get suspended for that.
I'm surprised Tom Brady didn't get suspended either.
Joe Kelly is still the background of my computer. It has been for like a year.
That makes sense.
Yep.
The other one is that today, as we're recording this, which is May 5th. Geez, I looked at that 5 and was like, what month starts with 5?
Where are we?
John Means threw a no-hitter, which is pretty cool. It's not the first no-hitter in Baltimore Orioles history, but Corwin, do you know when the last no-hitter was for the Orioles?
Oh, man. Matt Harvey.
This is his first season with the Orioles.
Could have done it. I don't pay super close attention. Honestly, I was picturing the orange of the Mets and was like, yeah, those are the Orioles. Fuck, man. I'm so dumb today.
Yeah.
Which, if you just listened to this episode, you already know.
It was done by Jim Palmer. Do you know who Jim Palmer is?
I know.
Hall of Fame pitcher.
Yeah.
He's one of the best pitchers of his era. I don't think it'd be a stretch to say he's probably one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Yeah, he was the last guy who did it.
Now?
Oh no, I don't think so. He's very
Jim
old.
Palmer.
He did it. He lasted in 1969.
Yeah,
There's been it's been a minute for the Orioles. There's been 52 years since the Orioles had a no-hitter, which is a very large gap in time.
I Googled Jim Palmer, and video watchers, I almost said video listeners, you get the perk of being able to see that. Oh no, it's there. Okay, well, it's shit.
Oh, he's
shit
so
quality,
hunky.
But
what a
whatever.
hunk.
Google it for yourself. You could see him fucking lifting a dumbbell. Just all.
I didn't realize that Jim Palmer was part of the fappening.
Oh, yikes.
Anyway. All right, we'll leave the show at that. If you we'll be back at doing this shit on Monday. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you want to follow Corwin on Twitter, you can do so at Corwin Heller. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Joshua D. Tracy. And yeah, that's it for this week. So until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.